feel like I'm giving you guys lots of episodes actually because I missed out on an episode. Like, obviously, I missed out on an episode, I think, this week, which was the 17th, right? I've been so behind. I mean, I've got like lots of episodes lined up. I will say that. But like I've been behind because I've been so busy. That's what's always so interesting to me. Like I wonder about the future of the pod sometimes because I really started the pod because I knew that I had so much free time, which I currently do. But you know, there will come a time when I do not. And I think to myself, when I do not, what will happen? What will happen to the pod? And how will I manage it? Also, like, you know, it's like, I think it's interesting because I suppose when you host your own pod and like you're doing it all on your own type situation, it can be a bit of a thing where, yes, it's harder to really schedule it in. I know that that's why I chose to do an episode like what like I chose Fridays, and I chose Fridays once a week. Yeah, Fridays once a week, but it's in the thing that probably if I get busier, or actually we never know when that would be, but if I do, it might have to even be like once a month, probably. Like, how crazy? But it would have to be once a month. Least, that's not for a while. Of course, guys, you know, when I get busy, you'll be the first to know because, honestly, I haven't been. And I think if you guys know, if you've been with me from the beginning, then you know that I've been unemployed for quite a while, which I think a lot of us have. I started realizing that what's the word? It's not just like me alone in this, you know, I don't know, let's call it an unemployment disaster, because that is what it is. You know, that is what it's called, because a lot of us are struggling. So yes, but then I decided to, in my struggle, to start a pod, and the pod is here, and the pod is growing, and everyone, you know, everyone gives me support, and I'm really happy for that. Like, you know who you are. Like, actually, the people that give me support, you really do know who you are, because you literally tell me, and I really love that, because not a lot of people do, you know. So it's very helpful. And I think that's why I'm always so grateful to always say thank you to people who listen to the pod, because it really does mean a lot, you know. Yeah, it means a lot. And I just mean, for me, obviously I would say I am a small creator. So as a small creator, it can mean so much. Anyways, that's our intro. Let's dive into the topic of conversation today, which is my film alphabet. I also posted this on my TikTok as well. And it was like, I think I posted, oh yeah, I posted light work, no reaction. But when I was doing it, it got so tricky. And then like, yeah, it got tricky. I think, you know, obviously it got tricky to when you reach like somewhere like, I feel like I was getting a bit difficult at like, either, yeah, around Q, which I feel like is quite of a normal, it's quite of a normal thing, I think, to reach all the way down to Q, and probably that's where you have issues. I might need to quickly make some edits actually, even while doing it and going through the alphabet like with you. I will probably have to make some edits as I go, because I just realized I was just looking at one of the letters and I realized I forgot to add a film on there. So that happens, you know, because that's what I'm saying to you. Going through the whole alphabet is crazy. And I know that exactly. I struggled at around Q all the way down to like, actually no, I struggled around Q, and obviously I struggled at around like also Z as well. But actually I might change my Z now, because yeah, I'm gonna change my Z. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. So wait, my bad, guys. Okay, I'm ready. You guys, this is This is what I mean. This is so off me. Sorry. I was like, the alphabet was so difficult. And it's because, as I even mentioned this, I think, into one of my previous episodes, but there's just so many films in the world, right? And it's just like, it's so difficult. So, anyways, A is for Ariete. Also it's the thumbnail. And I thought I would do it as the thumbnail just because A is the first letter of the alphabet. So obviously, yeah, I love Ariete. Just because I think I like Ariete because it's the whole idea of nature and also being a borrower as well. Her family was a borrower, and they lived in a small they were small people, so they lived in a small kind of hut. I think also Ariete reminds me of what's it called? Reminds me of Epic because it's the same idea of like a like people, like a bunch of small people, you know? And both films are so good. Okay, but then the honorable mentions, as well as Ariete. So obviously Ariete is our A, but then you've got About Time, Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, A Streetcar Named Desire, Akira, Anastasia, and A Bronx Tale. Yes. Be sure to, if you have any, what's it called? Questions or answers or whatever. If you have anything that you would like to ask, you can put that in the comments. I mean, so of course, as I go through the film alphabet, I think in a way maybe I should actually I should just say them and then maybe do commentary afterwards because that might be easier. So next is B. B is for, I like to see, and you're like, A is for apple. I'm joking, but no, B is for Bratz, and then the honorable mention is Battle Royale. Shout out to Battle Royale, and also shout out to Japanese movies in general, to be honest. But then actually also shout out to Battle Royale because it kickstarted that whole thing of survival movies. So it was the route before like Hunger Games and all those type of films. And also another one I guess a Japanese sibling like Alice in Borderland as well. So obviously we have Battle Royale to really thank for that. C is for Crimson Peak. Yes. Tom Hiddleston and also Mia as well. Yes, Mia from Alice in Wonderland. That would also be another honorable mention, actually. Do you see what I'm talking about, guys? Do you see what I'm talking about? I did it ages ago, and it's so difficult because you forget about all of the different films. But anyways, so the honorable mentions for C is, what's it called? Hold on a second. Hold on, is C even the right one? Actually, because obviously, oh no, C is for Cat in the Hat. Actually, remember, because actually, this is what I mean. I did that wrong because obviously I'm supposed to be doing my honorable mentions as well. But so C is for Cat in the Hat, rightly so, and the honorable mentions for C is Crimson Peak, Colette, Call Me by Your Name, Coraline, and also Catherine Called Birdie. Also shout out to Catherine Called Birdie as well, because Catherine Called Birdie is such a great film. It's very funny, I will say that. And also because it's a what do you call it? It's a historical drama. So, but actually, better yet, historical comedy. So actually it reminds me of My Lady Jane. Shout out to My Lady Jane, which is obviously cancelled, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm fine. So yeah, shout out to that because obviously, it's hilarious. You wouldn't really expect a really historical kind of story to really be that funny. But you know, Catherine Gilbert, she's like the perfect heron, basically. So D is for Divergent. I don't actually have an honorable mention for D at all, which is interesting. But I don't have one, to be honest. If you do actually come up with one, again, comments, put that there. E is for Enchanted. Yes. And the honorable mentions are Ever After and Epic. Because obviously I mentioned Epic, and that's what I mean. I'm obsessed with like the idea of like small people living around you and like not knowing that they're there, like, you know. And then, you know, remember even with Epic, the whole thing was that they thought that her dad was crazy, but he was right that the small people existed. He just couldn't see them, you know. And that's why they wanted to call her dad like the village madman or whatever. Even, oh my gosh, see, back to that again. That's another honorable mention for B, which would probably be Beauty in the Beast, because that's what I mean. Both dads are probably, yeah, relatable, because they're both people who, you know, exactly, were classed as the village madmen, but for what, really? Do you know what I mean? Like, especially as I said, because the epic dad was right. And then number two, Belle's dad was also right as well. So you know what I mean? They always want to kill people mad for being right about things. Shout out to shout out to Elphaba, actually. That's what I'm saying, you know. They villainized Elphaba just because she wanted to save animals. They said, okay, dress it up however you feel like, you know. The only thing is that you are a liar. You know, so this is what we're saying. You are a liar, and that's all, you know. And then they were like, oh, because exactly, Maurice, obviously Belle's dad, he came back from in the town and he was like, oh, yeah, he was like, Belle's been kidnapped. Or, yeah, Belle's been kidnapped. And she's been kidnapped by a beast. And he was like, please help. And they were looking at him like, no, this guy's crazy. And then you even had Gaston being like, oh, yeah, this guy's crazy. And we were like, Bear, yeah. But we were like, you want to marry her, don't you? So what is that about? What is that about? Shouldn't you like jump at the you know, at the risk of doing it? But then they were just like, oh, Maurice is mad, blah blah blah. And it was like, okay, wrap it up. Do you know what I mean? So F is for Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think also while we're on F, I would also say honorable mentioned would be Fast and Furious, and also damn, what's that other one? I was gonna say, yeah, the Fantastic, is it Fantastic Four? I thought it was Fantastic Mr. Four, but it's not that though, actually, is what I mean. So many movies, you know, guys, we always have so much movies in our brain. I was like, that's not right. But so, yeah, but the Fantastic Four anyways. I'm sure it's called Fantastic Four. I just need to check again. I know that the one that was just out was called, yeah, but it's this one. Yeah, see? That one is just called Fantastic Four, because, you know, even when I was doing this list as well, I was like, oh, I don't want to do films that like have the in front of them, because then that basically goes to T if you think about it. If you're really being specific, it goes to T. And I was like, yeah, I am someone who's always down for specifics. So I was like, yeah, I like to be a what's it called? Very picky, or a pincher, and be like, yeah, that's T. So I was like, no. I was like, that can't work, really. Also, hold on a second. Actually, I'll wait till I get there, actually. Obviously, like I said, I am still trying to edit and also go through it, but I'll do that when we get there. I just thought of another film right now. You see, the mind is always ticking. But anyways, G is for Garfield, and also the honorable mention is Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know why I missed the out of that one though, but that's all right because it starts with G. So Yeah. Also, oh yeah, quickly, I need to circle back to A. I would say another honorable mention would be Avatar. Not that, hello, I didn't know lots of people don't even really like Avatar. Like, I think, isn't it, did I tell you guys, I told you guys about my dad, right? And the fact that he's a very, like, he's into movies like me. Like, as I said before, to do with, like, environments and the idea of what environment you're brought up with and how what your parents like, and then that influences what you like. I feel no, like it generally does influences what you like the thing is that my mum like used to play a lot of Alicia Keys when I was younger, and then I've liked Alicia Keys for like a really long time since I was a child. And then also like my dad likes a lot of what's it called, like Asian media, but I wouldn't really say that he doesn't like, I don't know if he likes, actually I want to say he likes all of them actually, but his favorite is more so Chinese. So I suppose, yeah, his is more Chinese. But on the subject of why I was talking about my dad, it's just like, oh, I'm just talking about my dad for the fun of it. But no, why I was talking about him is because he doesn't really enjoy Avatar. And he also doesn't really like films that really like, what's the word? He doesn't really like films that spark revolution, if that makes sense. But that's just because, you know what I mean, we understand that though, for him and like his generation, it would be like a thing that we get, that like, we get that he would not really be a fan of that stuff, because that's not really what they would have been doing, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing, because I think to myself, wouldn't it have really been his generation? It would have really been like the time of revolution anyways. But hey ho, because exactly the only reason why I say it's because he's a Jamaican man, and I'm like, really, it's like in Jamaica they had a lot of like, yeah, they had a lot of like different politics ongoing in that country. So that's what I mean. But it's fine. Everyone has their different preferences. But the thing is, I also find him a very hard what's it called, cinema person to really like please, because he finds fault with everything. So that's why I was saying he doesn't like Avatar, but I do like Avatar. Avatar's one of my favorite films, and I do really enjoy the fact that like, yeah, I enjoy the fact that like, it's the idea of exactly like going into the Avatar world, because it's like he's not actually a blue, like, yeah, he's not a blue person. He was actually a human, and he went into their world, and obviously he found his wife, well, his now wife, because I mean, they're on like I don't know, they're on like film number 3, or yeah, no, I think it's 3, because the second Avatar came out last year, and then there was, and I think, yeah, that was Way of Water, and then they're doing the next one this year, which I think is coming out at the end of like yeah, it's coming out at the end of this year, I believe. But yeah, it's all like it's a very interesting film. But anyways, back to where we was on the alphabet, which is H, and H is for Hercules. The honorable mentions are Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Hairspray, and also Hoodwinked. And yes, Hoodwinked, because obviously Hoodwinked was one of my childhood films. This is what I mean. I'm like, I've always been into films. Joking, that sounds pretentious, but like, as somebody, it's just like, I think, yes, as a child, it's like you grow up watching films, and I don't really feel like exactly it really changes. Your love for films just grow even more, to be honest. They just grow even more, and that's why I'm saying like I still like Hoodwinked. I think it's such a funny film. What's it called? Yeah, did I? And then I is for Inside Out. Probably also exactly Inside Out 1 and 2. duh. And then also the honourable mention is Inception. But that's, of course, like when I was thinking about that, I was like, oh, do I want to add Inception? Because it's such a like, it's considered to be one of those like film bro films. And it's just like, yeah, I don't want to, yeah. Like, it's because it's like, I don't know if they even think that, I guess you can be performative actually in film, because there's this whole thing going on obviously about performative males and all that stuff. And then I just think to myself, can you really be a performative film person? Which I guess you can, because it's the idea of just when you just say like a bunch of like popular films, but you don't. But yeah, exactly. You're just going through the popular films that everyone knows, but not really ones that like are really like, I don't know, underrated. I would say the ones I've already just gone through basically anyways, because obviously we're at I right now, but the ones I've gone through already are basically, I would say a lot of them are popular, but I feel like a lot of them also are not. Like obviously the first one being Arrietty, which is a Hayao Miyazaki Studio Ghibli film. So really, when you think about it, the list is very what do you call it? It's very like it's got a lot going on. Like, I meant it's just very versatile. So that's what I mean. I meant it's not like your classic film. It's like when you see those film TikToks where they're like, what you rocking out to? And then they're like, oh, you like, I don't know, Inception, The Godfather, I don't know, and all those kinds of ones that you just think people will say, and the ones that basically film bros say, But I really do like Inception, to be honest. I know that it is classed as one of the important ones, but I do, like, I meant one of the popular ones, but I do really like that film. I know that my brother really likes that film as well, so I guess that was the first time I ever really watched it. But it is a very interesting film because it takes you, yes, on that whole dream life thing. And I think, remember, obviously Paprika, which is obviously also on this alphabet list, was obviously no, Inception was inspired by Paprika because Paprika came out before Inception. So yeah, but I just mean that they took things from it. And also how I suppose one to throw in would be that they took inspiration from Perfect Blue for Black Swan, right? So some of the scenes in that, and I guess also a bit of the storyline is also like that too, because obviously, I mean, Paprika's like, I mean, not Paprika, Perfect Blue is not really about ballet, I suppose. That's why it's very different. Yeah, I feel like obviously Perfect Blue is about maybe like, yeah, it's more so like it was kind of like she was an idol, like, I mean, a singer, but it was still the same thing of like having a was it alter ego? So it was that whole thing. Yeah, it was a whole thing having an alter ego. So I think obviously, yeah, they took I say they took inspiration, because that's always very important. And I think it's good that filmmakers take inspiration from each other, it's it's a very good thing to do. Anyways, J is for Juno. Again, Juno again is one of my what do you call it? Like, because I feel like I do feel like your film taste does evolve. So I would say Juno is one of my teen years, pretty much. I really loved Juno. And I mean, Juno is such like, I don't know, I want to say Juno's a very like, it's a serious film, I suppose, but it's also unserious at the same time. I mean, she is the character is a person who, ends up getting pregnant, and then obviously And then also, you know what's the most memorable thing about Juno is the hamburger phone. I'm just like, it transports you to the hamburger phone. Absolutely. Oh, I just thought I needed to add another film again. You see, like, this is what I mean. I need to add another film. So I said, so yeah, Jay's for Juno, and then the honorable mention is Joker as well. So yeah, I know I've obviously always think with the Jokers, as you know, as like different people who have played them, I do obviously think that yes, Heath Ledger is the best Joker, and I do think yes, he forever will be. Do you know what I mean? But it's not a bad thing to say. Just the honest truth. Like Heath Ledger was such a great actor, and I don't know, like what he brought to Joker anyways. Like he just had all of the things that Joker was, which was his insanity and like all of that stuff. I just think like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is obviously slightly a bit more like, what's the word? He's a bit more like schizophrenic rather than how Heath Ledger's Joker feels like he's quite like philosophical almost and insightful, you know? Like the way that like, you know, Heath Ledger's Joker sits down with Batman and basically says to him like, you know, you're no better than I am. Do you know what I mean? And like he basically just calls Batman out on like, you know, his flaws as a superhero, you know? And we never really think about the fact that yes, superheroes have flaws. Like, you know, they're not all that great, you know? And it's like that's the same thing because I swear people always talk about this thing with Batman is that he's rich and like he's living in Gotham and like he's living in living in one of the poorest areas, which is Gotham, but he's not really like, what's the word, doing much or something. I know that that's what I've heard anyways, just that he's a superhero, but he's also Bruce Wayne and he's rich and like, yeah, I hear it though. You know, like I actually get it. So yeah, so obviously moving on to K is for K-pop Demon Hunters. Yes. How crazy is it? Because, you know, yeah, it became one of my favorite films so quickly. That's why it's on this list. To think it only came out this year and it's already it's already on this list and it's already so special to me and to a lot of others as well. I'm excited to see what where K-pop Demon Hunters will like go, like, you know, its lengths. I'm excited to see where its lengths and where it will unravel. And you know how crazy that like it came in hot, like that's what I'm saying. It came in burning, it came in hot, and already it has so many like different ways it can go now. You know, it's so crazy. Not even like a one and done film, you know? I hate that sometimes. A one and done film, just a story, just a film that comes on and then it's just like, oh, it's over. But, you know, like K-pop Demon Hunters is one that's like, we need to know so much more because we want to know, like, for one, exactly, the main thing is we want to know, like, how is it that Rumi's a demon anyways? Or, like, exactly, she's, like, part demon, but why is she part demon, you know? And then it's, like, Celine goes on and talks about her mum so much, and we're like, oh, so, exactly, your mum was not a demon, but maybe your dad was? Like, you know? It's just a lot of, like, questions, a lot of loopholes. Also, the honorable mention for K is, Kung Fu Panda, but of course. Like honestly, do you remember when like I think it was it's either McDonald's or Burger King because remember Burger King they used to always do those toys. I'm sure they probably I don't know if they still do actually because I wouldn't know. I don't buy kids meals, but I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that, by the way. You know, people think it's weird if like you're an adult and you buy a kids meal, but I don't think it should really be that like it should really be that much of a scrutiny because like it's still food at the end of the day. Like actually like that's the whole thing. It's actually food and we're still going to eat it. So, you know, but I remember back in those days and I used to really be excited to get the Kung Fu Panda toys and I used to always I think yes, I got a few of them when I was younger, and I think I basically might have got. I think I got the monkey, and then also, I think I also got the snake at one point too. Yeah, I think I got either one of those, but I don't think I really got a lot of them though. I didn't even get like all of them either. I didn't get all of them, but because I just do think, but yeah, when you're younger, you probably do have a lot of takeaway. Not that that's a bad thing, but you really do. I mean, you have a lot of like McDonald's, Burger King, and I remember when I was younger and like I used to get sick on McDonald's, but that was for overeating though. And I guess as a child, you do overeat quite a bit too. And then you also do crazy stuff like running around the place after eating, which obviously we would not do now. We would not do that now, but this is my whole thing. Like that's just generally what happens. Anyways, L is for Little Women. And Little Women, the 2019 version. I just want to make that crystal clear, okay? But I don't hate the old version, as I said. As I have said before, I don't hate them. I think they're both great, actually, in their equal right. But I obviously like the 2019 one more. Like, I think about, it might even be exactly, like, one of my top, I don't even know. Yeah. Top 5 moments of going to the cinema. And I think I went to see Little Women exactly. I saw it on the day it came out. And I don't remember when it was, but I feel like it was an occasion. It might have been like, I don't know, New Year's Eve, or it was a really special day, I feel, that I went to go and see it. And it will always be up there for me of moments when I went to the cinema and I was so excited to see the proposal scene, because I think I watched the trailer beforehand. And it's not to say that, like, because exactly, I do sometimes think it's better to not watch a trailer, but then I watched the trailer beforehand and I was really excited to see the heel scene come up. So yeah. And then it was like, I was in the cinema and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's coming. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, wait, it's here. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was just so excited. But yeah, the honourable mentions for L is Lost in Starlight, Love Untangled, and also LOL. Miley Cyrus, LOL Miley Cyrus. But yeah, that one again, yeah, LOL is again, another teen favorite, I suppose, yeah, of mine. It's funny. Imagine if I should do a list of of my teen favorites, but that would be so difficult. Because I'm just saying, like, it would be weird because I don't think none of those films are really like, I wouldn't really say exactly, if I was to make a favorite list, they would not be in there now. But it's like, if I was to make a list pretending that I was my teen self, LOL would be in that, like, I would pretend if I was stepping in the shoes of my younger self, it would be in that list, I just love that whole entire film. I just don't even know why. I don't know why, honestly. And also Lost in Starlight came out this year too, and this year, no, so LOL didn't come out this year, sorry, but I just mean that, like, yeah, Lost in Starlight came out in 2025, and it was obviously about astronauts, and also it was of the first Korean animated film as well, and obviously it was very good. Like, for their first Korean animated film, it was oh yeah, it was just everything and more, to be honest. It had such great animation. Because exactly in an apocalyptic kind of world, it had just a lot of those layers. Kind of reminded me of Maze Runner for some reason, just because of all that different like space stuff and and then how it just had all these different things and like holograms and like, yeah, it was just a good film, to be honest. I can't say anymore, but yeah, it was just great. And Love Untangled was also great. It reminds me of also True Beauty, but just in the way of like, yeah, the True Beauty and Love Entangled both have same similarities because of this whole thing of letting like wanting someone to love you for you, but not just because you have straight if you have straight hair or if you wear makeup like Jun Young, really, because obviously she found what's his name, Suo. Yeah, she found Suo, and he loved her without makeup, basically. But we understood her whole makeup thing because she was literally like, that's the thing, like, versus Love Untangled, like, what's her name was not bullied for her curly hair at all. Do you get it? Hers was more so to do with her crush. So hers was even more so of like a male oriented thing. Not even to say it's a thing. And maybe actually, no, it was a male oriented thing and it was also to do with self-love. She didn't really have that like for herself. But I just mean versus True Beauty, she was obviously actually getting bullied, like, while not wearing makeup. And then obviously she started wearing it and everyone started liking her. So it's more of a thing that when you look at hers, we're like, okay, we can understand why you're out here wearing makeup and all these things, because obviously people are people are treating you differently when you have it on. I hate that, by the way, as well. The whole idea of people treating you differently when you look a certain way. Like, I suppose if you're wearing a newer outfit or you have new shoes on, all these materialistic things, right? Which are nothing to do with like a person. Like, that they're, of course, I always think, yes, they're what makes a person, but they're not like vital to like also to who somebody is, and also people always like, what's the word, they always miss that. They more want to look at the fact about what car you drive or what shoes you got on, but it's like, let's look at the bigger picture here. Like, who is this person and what do they like? Do you know what I mean? What do they like? And we just mean, what do they like as a person, and like, what can you even tell us about them? Exactly, aside from the fact that they're really pretty. Such shallow-minded kind of thoughts. Anyways, it's really irritating. I've never liked that. Do you know what I mean? I've never liked that. And it's just like, that's why I guess those stories are actually so good too, anyways, to really tell. Okay, M is for, I know you guys will be like, yeah, where are we? I always remind you what letter we're at. M is for Mamma Mia, of course, because I really love musicals. I'm like, yes, but of course it is. Do you know what? Hold on, I need to go back to H again. I would also say, because on the subject of musicals, also Hamilton as well, because why not? Alexander Hamilton. But yeah, so also him as well. But yeah, that's just obviously why I want to circle back to, because I was like, yeah, I love Mamma Mia, but I just needed to remind myself. We also had Hairspray at H as well, so that's what I mean. I was like, let's not forget about the greatness of musicals, and how good they are, and how good, obviously, exactly. Like, I always say that music goes so well with telling a story, and it's like, of course, we like a good score, do you know what I mean? A good instrumental, but I mean music, obviously, when we know that has words, it's just even better, because we just want to understand it more. Anyways, the honorable mentions for M is, or well, R is R, but R, Matilda, Mary Poppins, and My Only Girl. My Only Girl feels like it's such a play on words also, because it's like, is it my only girl? But anyways, my Only Girl actually is a anime, so animated film. And it's obviously, it's such a also like very yeah, like it's not just like when I think about, oh yes, anime film, I'm like it just has a lot like going on in it because it's obviously about people who have like they have like these horns um on their heads, and they're basically called onis, and then it's supposed to do with like if you kind of like bottle up your feelings, and that's the way that you obviously kind of turn into an oni, and that's what the guy in the film was really facing, because he was a bit of a what is it, he was a bit of a people pleaser, so it was a thing where he never really told people how he was feeling, so it was basically a thing where he would just do it a lot, and he would put their feelings above his own. So that was his whole thing. And then they kind of just go on a journey. I think they basically go on a journey to find yeah, to find the girl's mother, I believe. And honestly, yeah, My Only Girl is one of those films I would love to watch again. Also, wait, going back to B, actually, because now on the topic of animated films, I would also add Bubble as well. But Bubble is very sad. Yeah, Bubble is very sad. That's what I will say, because I would just like to let you know, as your as your pal. I'm like, Bubble is such a very sad anime film, but the fact of the matter is it's also not as sad because it's about parkour. So you're also going to be okay. You're in for a very good time of like all that parkour, like animation, all that stuff going on, right? And lots of great like landscape shots. Do you get it? You're in for that. That's great. But the whole story and like, and then yeah, like first time I watched Bubble, I obviously cried. So yeah, it's one of those films. Like I always say that when a film makes you cry, it's one of those one and done films. Like I don't know if we would necessarily revisit it again, because it would it would upset me again. So, and I think even right now when I'm talking about it, I'm remembering how upset I was. I'm remembering how upset I was, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do that again. I do think it's quite beautiful though, in like letting a film exactly upset you. Like it's very, very gorgeous, because it's obviously like, it's really releasing your emotions, honestly. And it's quite wonderful. And I think that like, because anime does have that effect anyways, like anime can be quite sad in general. So that's why like a lot of their movies are like very sad. I would say that yeah, My Only Girl was obviously semi-sad too, but not too much though. That's why I'm saying to you, like it wasn't that bad. I just know that Bubble was more sad than that. So if that makes sense. Okay, now we are on N. I feel like we're obviously halfway. If there's any constellation, we are halfway there, guys. So N is for Nosferatu. 100%, because Nosferatu was so good, and I don't really like I don't know, like horror / thriller, so I suppose it's either one of those. And I don't really like those, but I just thought all the roles in that, I like everything about Nosferatu was great. And I also thought that Lily Rose Depp was very good. Like as somebody who's like, like she's not even basically I don't know, you don't envision her to be an actress, because I don't really feel like remember her what do you call it? Her collection's really that vast. Remember, she was only in that thing that The Weeknd made, which was obviously like The Idol. Yeah, she was in that. And it was such a what's the word? Change, and such a leap um from that role. So it was just like her really, giving scary, giving everything, come to me. And we were like, wow, you're scary. And then also Willem Dafoe as well. And obviously my even favorite role in that whole entire film was Aaron Taylor Johnson. And I was like, wow, Aaron Taylor Johnson, which, guys, we know Aaron Taylor Johnson's a great actor, but I was still just like, wow, I didn't know that he could deliver such a performance like that, you know, like with the emotion that he delivered, plus also like, you know what I mean? The guy had such of the worst kind of time in this film, and all because he wanted to be a good friend and accommodating. Do you know what I mean? That's all he wanted, to be accommodating and be a good friend. And then obviously it's like, you know, he gets it like on his doorstep, which, you know, that's why in my head I was like, he should have obviously not have done that, because it's like whatever darkness is here, you can send that somewhere else. You know, take that somewhere else, or actually take it back to your house. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, with with Ellen, we said take it back to where you guys live. Like, we don't need that here though, you know? And especially because exactly, Aaron Taylor Johnson had his wife and his 2 kids. I was like, hello, this is a whole family here. You and your husband, it's just you guys on your own. And this is the whole thing. That's probably why you guys are an easy target. But then this is the funny thing. They could also be an easy target with their kids as well. But then it's still just like, yeah, it was still just like they should have just not brought it to somebody else. Also, the honourable mention being Notting Hill. Even though I remember when I watched Notting, I do like Notting Hill, because obviously it's the whole idea of again, actually wanting someone to love you for you, actually, I suppose, because she was obviously an actress and she had to be in that world, but she also just wanted to be able to like live a normal life and like fall in love like lovers do. real poetic stuff, but yeah, fall in love like lovers do, and she just wanted the chance to have that normality. So I do find the film really interesting, but I do think it might be one of those films that have to grow on you after a while. Like, first time I watched it, exactly, I don't think it really made much of effect on me, but if I watched it again, I'm sure it actually would do just fine. Moving on to O. Oh wait, I need to add another film again. O is for Old Boy, which is obviously by is by yes, Park Chan-wook, our favorite. I'm joking, our favorite guy. I'm joking, but no, Park Chan-wook's a really great director, and obviously he recently just had No Other Choice come out. But yes, Old Boy also probably is one of I guess, yeah, one of his classics, and also then I suppose it's also, yes, a classic in cinema in general as well. Because I suppose everyone always goes back to, like, in Old Boy, everyone always goes back to the fact of that scene of where Old Boy is fighting, at least, what was it? It was like about like 20 or something people all at once. Yeah, that scene. And I think also Old Boy is considered to be, I saw something the other day that said it's a film to watch with your parents. And I mean, I did that though, I suppose. I did that, I think, yes. I did do that actually, but I might have watched it with them again though. I don't think I watched it with them the first time. I think it's very interesting, yes, to watch a film with your parents, but I mean like the second time over, not the first, because sometimes, like, exactly, and also, you know, exactly, when you watch films with your parents, they ask you what's going on in the film, like you've seen it before, when obviously you haven't, but that's how they do it, and sometimes it can be a bit difficult. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm trying to watch this film same time as you, and you're gonna ask me what it's about. I said, oh, okay. And also, honourable mention for O is Oliver, but of course it is. Yeah, Oliver's special, as we all know. So this is what I mean. I think guys, I would also like to know, like, what do you think that you would put on your film alphabet if you was to actually do one? I'd be really interesting to know what you guys think because like that's what I mean. Like doing a film alphabet for me was like super challenging, even though I know what my favorite films are. Like we all do, but I still found it like to be a challenging thing because I was just like in my head actually I think I was like, oh, do I know that many films? And I was like, no, yes. But then as I said, I was just like, I still found it difficult. Next is P. P is for Penelope. Who's that again? Christina Ricci. Yes. And the honorable mentions for P is Princess Mononoke, Ponyo, Paprika, Princess Diaries, and also Prince and Me. Yeah. And Princess Me again was another one of my teen favorites again. Like honestly, I just don't even know. My teen years, like I don't even know, man. I was watching yeah, a lot of films, but I just mean they're all so different. I don't know what's so great about Prince and Me as well. Like the idea, I suppose, that she meets a prince on a whim, like, and then she ends up like falling in love with him. And then also, I suppose, he also surprises her as well because she's like, oh, he's a prince, but like she was looking at it like, yeah, he's a prince, like, oh yeah, he's gonna be like this or whatever, but he was actually a really good guy. Q is for Queen and Slim. R is for Robin Hood. The honorable mention is Ready or Not. And that film is so good. I love films like that anyways. You know, like I think like I want to say exactly, did Saltburn try to be Ready or Not? Because it kind of gives that though in a way, because of course like Saltburn had that whole thing of like, I don't know, going after a whole family, but then obviously in Ready or Not, the family goes after her, right? Bit of a, what was it they said? What's the word? Initiation. Sorry, my English is never sometimes that good. But yeah, like a bit of an initiation process. And it's like, all she was doing getting married. Yeah, all she was doing was getting married. We were like, what's wrong with you guys? So real like cult vibes. And it was just interesting that like, yeah, they came after her, but she ended up being the sole survivor. So anyway, S is for Scott Pilgrim versus the World. The honorable mentions are Sucker Punch and Shrek. And obviously all of the Shreks, but duh. Probably in specific Shrek 2, but that's okay. I know that people also like, some people like, yeah, Shrek 3, I believe, but it never really like grown on me. Like, I don't really like that one. Like, I very much like the last one, like, you know, Do the Raw. I like the last one, and like, I feel like, yeah, I like the last one and I like number 2. I don't really feel, and obviously I like Shrek number 1, but that's obvious. But I just mean like, I just don't think Shrek 3 ever really ticked much boxes for me. Anyways, T is for Tinkerbell. The honorable mentions are The Apartment and The Lord of the Rings. U is for Unlocked. And the honorable mention is Uptown Girls. Also, one thing about Unlocked, like, yeah, that film was so, like, it was so spooky. But just because I thought about, exactly, I think Unlocked's the type of film that makes you think about what would happen. Exactly, if you left your phone on the bus and it was unlocked, do you get it? And then somebody would steal it and they wouldn't even want to give it back to you. Like, they would not want to give it back to you, and so what would you actually do? Right? And then obviously Uptown Girls is very special as well, because the whole idea of like, I suppose, yeah, they were both the same but also opposites. Like she was a little girl but she was very mature, and then she was the adult but she was very immature. I like that, you know? Two different, like you would expect it to be the other way around, of course. V is for Vive la vie, which is, I think in English it's live your life, basically. I think I will search it up for you guys because, of course, I just want to make sure that it's the correct meaning. Yeah. So obviously, yeah, live life. Obviously, yeah, and it's obviously a French film, and it features Anna Karina. Yeah, Anna Karina, isn't she just special? And I feel like ever since I watched River, I haven't watched many French films since then, but like when I watched Viva la Vie, I really did enjoy it. It does feel like it's a very film that's very when I first watched it though, it did feel very like abrupt though. Like I just mean like the way that it ended, it was just like abrupt and I was like, oh, it's over, you know? So that was what it was like for me really. But I did really enjoy it though. Honorable mentions being Venom and Virgin Suicides. Next is W. W is for Wendell and Wild. The honorable mention is Where the Wild Things Are, and also Wicked. But of course, I'm so excited for the second Wicked, and I can't believe it's coming out obviously next month. Like, dearie me. We still have a little bit of October left, but obviously when it hits November, like, yeah. And I bet you know, because Wicked is such a big, like, exactly, such a big film, I know cinemas are going to be super, super busy when that comes out. I can't lie. And they'll probably have stuff as well, you know, like, exactly. Wicked's the type of film that will probably have merch, for sure. Probably have, like, one of those, like, bottles, probably have one of those in the cinema, or something else. But like, do you know what I mean? And I wish you got more things from the cinema, because I've always told this story where obviously I got socks from the cinema one time. I got M&M socks from the cinema. I think it was at my local View. But I'm just like, why don't cinemas do that very often? Like, they should give out more things like that. And it's like, we all go to the cinema quite a lot, so why don't they do that? You know, it's almost like complimentary things. You know what I mean? We're just like, yeah, I've been here, and it's not even like that though. But I just think that's what they should do. I think it's super cute. Oh yeah, X is for X-Men. Y is for Your Highness, and the honorable mention is Your Name, and then last but not least, which is Z, is for Zootopia. And that is it. Like, I did so well. I did this in 57 minutes. Gosh. Film alphabet, man, is such a long thing. But I'm happy that I that I challenged myself though. Actually, that was basically what I wanted to do, because it's just like, yeah, when you like films, it's interesting to switch it up a bit, you know, give yourself different kind of things. It's also how I feel like I navigate the pod as well, because you kind of want to talk about a lot of different things, but in different ways. You know, it's also like how you see those YouTube videos. People do ones on, like, I don't know, top 10 worst K-dramas or something, or top 10 K-drama men. Like, you know what I mean? It's that type of thing. I always thought I wanted my podcast page to be like that too. But then I also sometimes, I don't know, I enjoy more talking about these things individually rather than even in an episode like this, which is like obviously stretched out and it's a whole entire list. Do you know what I mean? You guys just listen to me go through my whole entire film alphabet. And yeah, I hope that obviously I meant that you enjoyed it, and you also could take on some recommendations even, because of course, you know, all of these films that I mentioned are all great. And as I said, I do think one in specific that I think, yeah, if any of them that I think anyone should walk away like wanting to watch, I do think it would be my Oni Girl, to be honest. Like, honestly, I do think it would be Ioni Girl, because I feel like all the rest of them everyone might know. And then also maybe I probably would actually throw in also The Apartment as well. I because the funny enough is I found The Apartment on Amazon Prime, and yes, it was one of those things where they said Amazon said it was a movie that I would like. So I was like, oh, I was like, cool, that's fine, I'll watch it. And then I did watch it, and then I did like it. I was like, that's nice. But I think obviously it said I would like it because probably, I don't know, did I watch, actually no, I watched an old film not too long before I watched The Apartment. I think I watched the man in the white suit. So then it was almost like, oh, I wanted to watch another an old film. It was like I was on exactly an old film high. I was like, I just kind of want to keep it going. So then I watched The Apartment. And obviously that's what I mean. Those are my two recommendations actually for you guys if I had to pick any out of the list. Because there's a lot from that list. But I just mean any of them though, you could generally watch. And as I said though, if you want as well, that's what I mean, you could ask me in the comments to maybe touch on any of the other films mentioned, because if you'd like me to, I could obviously like say in detail about some of the films in this alphabet list and why I think that, yeah, you should watch them and why I enjoy them also. But you know, thank you for listening, and also let me know about your film alphabet too.